Yeah, and as far as refinancing too, I think sometimes people forget you could still negotiate your loan. You can always go back and talk to the dealership because truthfully, they want the payments, right? That they want you to be on time with your payments. Obviously, don't go default and lose your car. But they also make money off the interest rate. So know how you can go in and say, hey, I'm working on this. It's starting to get a little too much. How can I work out a better deal as far as being able to pay it on time and everything? And so
Welcome to Financially Savvy in 20 Minutes, a podcast hosted by me, Natalie Torres Haddad, an international award winning author, two-time TEDx speaker, and investor, along with Vera Egley, an investor, sales, and marketing pro, and multi language podcaster. We will share the tips and tricks from interviews with self made entrepreneurs, leaders, and those who have attained financial freedom while learning financial literacy in multiple languages.
hello, hello. Hey, Vera, we had a question last time around about car shopping or really the interest rate that you can get on your car. And I know
Mm-hmm.
so many times it's an overwhelming experience shopping for a car because you have to go through hopefully different outlets to get the best rate. But this question came in from Antoine, and he was like, how do I switch? Or how do I either refinance or switch or buy a whole new car with a different interest rate because he had a 20.8 interest rate on his current car. And mind you, this was his first car. So unfortunately, I was thrown back when I heard that interest rate.
Absolutely. It's
uh,
shock, but I guess if you don't have anything to compare it to, it's not shocking to you, right? Because you're kind of like, "Oh, wait, this isn't standard?"
right, exactly. You don't really know, and you're hoping you have the best um, person, well, the person that you're working with has the best, best intentions for
Intention.
you. But
Yeah.
let's be honest, it is a business, and many times there is predatory lending too. So it's really important to be as educated and equipped to go in. So for this specific financially savvy in 20 minutes, we're going to talk about your car shopping experience, looking for that best interest rate, and just kind of things that you should be aware of. My last car that we bought was actually 2020, so not that long ago.
Mhm.
And I think about this is a really similar question I get all the time about, well, how do I base the car? Is it based on the actual car or the interest rate or my credit score? And the truth is it all depends, but it really does include those areas, right? Because if you have great credit, then you can negotiate for the best rate. If you are shopping for a particular car that most likely needs a lot more insurance because it's likely to be broken into or easily crashed, all these factors can really bump up how much you're going to be paying a month. We're not just talking about interest rate, we're talking about your insurance payment, everything that goes with that, right? And gas. And then lastly, it's did you do your due diligence, right? Were you looking around for the best rate? When was the last time you bought a car or have seen people go through this since you're in the insurance industry too?
We actually I see people go through it a lot, and most of the time what I'm seeing and what I do as well is I never purchase new. So that also, if you're thinking about like overall payment, the depreciation on a vehicle is, I mean, instant, right? So typically vehicles, if we do buy something, it'll be already like 2 years old. Low mileage, obviously, and then you can negotiate or refi once you get it off the lot. Especially if you belong to a credit union, they tend to offer better rates. But what I do see is with people who are first time buyers, they go right away for the expensive newest car, and maybe they're like 18 years old and they're barely establishing their credit. And I do see that much more often in a lot of the insurance agencies that I go visit. They tell me, or I see it in person. It's like an 18-year-old that just got this super fast car, and they're super excited and they have a job. Their parents, they're 18, they can do whatever they want, but they don't take into consideration that they're paying a handful for the interest rate. I do think that's why I said sometimes if it's your first time, you don't even know if it's a good deal or not. And if your parents are not well versed in it, you really don't know if it's a good deal or not, because maybe they're in the same situation where they have a super high interest rate, and they don't know that they can refi or do anything to lower it, negotiate, and so forth. So I do see that happen a lot, especially with the younger, I don't want to say kids, it's just younger people getting a brand new car. It's exciting, you're so excited, you have a job, you can do it yourself. And most of them want to go for the brand new shiny thing.
I agree, and those are all good points because it can be overwhelming but exciting at the same time, right? And yeah, actually, to clarify, my new car wasn't a new car. It was technically a year old because I bought it in 2020 and it was a 2020. And as we know, for those people that are shopping for cars, cars usually come out the year before, right? And so you just put a good point that you're driving it off the lot and you're spent that's a few $1,000s right there that the moment you drive it off, right? So looking for some of those rates. And I like using a couple websites that are completely free to help you shop around and just kind of figure out, okay, what is my credit score? What kind of interest rate should I be negotiating with? Because what we're seeing right now, pre-pandemic, when I was so happy we bought this car, we were planning, we had saved for it. And pre-pandemic, this was in 2020, January, I got the best interest rate. And guess what? The pandemic happened a few months later. So I'm like, okay, now we have an extra car we're not really using. And fast forward now, 2, 3 years later, interest rates are definitely going up as inflation happens. The car market is extremely expensive right now because, well, think about the demand that's out there, right? And so we're looking at, well, how is it the buyer can really benefit? So two of the websites I like, we're not being sponsored by them, but I've used them often, is bankrate.com and NerdWallet, because they do give you a list of these type of sites that give you what
Hmm.
your credit score would give you as far as interest rates. And then another step I like going to is looking at the type of cars let's say there's a specific brand or specific model I want. I love going to Kelley Blue Book online as well. And it's just trying to figure out what the car value is. Because if you're trying to buy it from a private owner or from an actual lot or from a used lot or from a car strictly from a car dealership that is made for just for that type of brand and model, they have their own rates too. They shouldn't be too far off, but once again, it goes down to the interest rate that they're making money off of and really understanding how these dealerships work. One of the biggest misconceptions, and it irks me to this day, especially for like Black and brown communities, we have a lot of dealerships in our neighborhoods that aren't necessarily brand dealership, right? There's like Car City. Like if you're in LA, you can go to Cerritos where it's like tons of, dealerships back next to each other that are
That's
specific
right.
for the brand,
That's right.
right? I think that's how I bought my very first car with my parents. But when you go to our neighborhoods, there's these smaller dealerships that are selling cars. They're all different types of brands. Most of them are either repossessed, refurbished, or some kind of something that they're obviously used, but their interest rates are where they really get you. And so people usually go there because they say, oh, your credit score doesn't matter, or your job is your verification. And I think that's where people need to be very aware. And I get it, they're like, well, I'm having a rough time, my credit score isn't great. I'm like, work on that, continue on public transportation or carpooling, whatever you need to do, because in the long run you're going to be spending so much money, as Antoine mentioned, 20%, as opposed to someone that can have less than a 3%. And so really taking the time to focus on your credit score, a down payment, something that would help you lower that rate is so incredibly important.
And these are the type of questions that we really want to get from our listeners, because it really, we tend to generalize some things because we want to make sure that that there's a lot of it's just not one size fits all. But when we can get specific like this, we can also bring in experts. Like, I think this kind of triggered the idea of having somebody come in who does auto financing, right? And to really get into the nitty gritty of the contract and like what all these statistics are and what the metrics are for an interest rate. And you nailed it. The Black and brown community, I mean, again, for me, it boils down to a lack of access or knowledge, only because it's on purpose. It's not like they want us to know what the information is. So thanks for the question. And I'm really excited to have somebody on here that can really break down the metrics for us too.
Yeah, and as far as refinancing too, I think sometimes people forget you could still negotiate your loan. You can always go back and talk to the dealership because truthfully, they want the payments, right? That they want you to
Mhm.
be, be on time with your payments. Obviously, don't go default and lose your car. But they also make money off the interest rate. So know how you can go in and say, "Hey, I'm working on this. It's starting to get a little too much. How can I work out a better deal as far as being able to pay it on time and everything?" And so sometimes a lot of people aren't aware that they can do that. And I think as we see more and more people shopping, especially young people particularly, I always get this question is, can I get a co-signer? Can I get someone, whether it's my parent or someone that has good credit, to co-sign a car? Now, here's a disclosure, everyone. I always say beware, and my answer is usually no, but with exceptions, right? Um, for parents, I understand sometimes they have the good credit and their kids don't have any credit yet. And their kid needs the car. So they're trying to help them in both ways. And I think that's noble and that's wonderful if they can afford to do that. But there needs to be that conversation, possibly more than once, on what responsibilities that means if they're going to be co-authors on this car, I could get a authorization on this loan, because if the kid isn't paying it on time or something happens, the other person is responsible for not only making sure that payments continue, but their credit score will be affected as well. And so that is really key when getting a loan. And I think sometimes we see kids with actually better credit scores than their parents, and they think, well, I have to go with my parent because they've had a longer credit history. That's what's really important to understand, what your credit score is. Just because you have a longer history doesn't always mean you have good credit, and vice versa. You might have a really great credit and it's just, you've had it for a few months. So shopping around for that best interest rate, it's going to make the difference. And I
Yeah,
think
and
now, yeah, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say the if you are refinancing the loan, I mean, your current lender might be like, oh, well, this or this, like they're going to give you reasons to not, but that's even more leverage to say like, well, I can go this route or you can give me a better deal. I think we actually, a lot of us don't realize that you can do this with your credit cards. I mean, if you do it with your home, why wouldn't you do it with your cards and your car? Like you can call up your banks, your lenders and say, hey, mind you, you have to have leverage. So if you've been paying, your credit score is good, you have options, start making those phone calls. They're really not that hard. You just say, this is where I'm at now. Let me know what we have to do to lower it. Because otherwise, I have somebody who's willing to offer me the better deal. And as you said, I think you nailed it. Most of the time, they'll say, yes, let's work something out because they want to receive those payments in every aspect. Actually, negotiate as much as you can because it is possible.
Absolutely. And once again, this podcast is merely about entertaining and educating. We're not advocating for one way or the other. We're not being paid by any of these sponsors. And obviously, you're at your own risk when you go into these places. But we want to be able to equip people knowing that they do have plenty of rights, they do have plenty of resources to shop. And it's okay to feel overwhelmed by the refinancing or by buying process of a car, because I mean, that's something my husband and I are looking now too for a car. We're like, well, what is it? We really want comfort. Is it the style? Is it because of gas? I mean, now we have the options of, hybrid, electrical, or gas. And way gas prices have gone, people are like, maybe electrical is the way to go, or having hybrid, because sometimes there's not enough stations everywhere that you're planning to drive to. So, these are a lot of questions, but I think doing your homework beforehand gives you a little bit more confidence going into, especially when you're talking to these dealerships. These are good salespeople. They're not, usually I've not run into people that don't know how to sell, right? And so they'll sell you, like you said, all the fun tricks and luxuries that you may not necessarily need. But I always say too, drive the car more than once. Don't go in like, today's a, I have to buy this car today. It's like, No, go in multiple times. Go in with less pressure. Be like, I have to find the car today, because then you're most likely going to walk off with something that you didn't notice. And so taking somebody with you as well, because maybe they noticed something that about the car that you hadn't. If possible, you can even do a rental. I know there's some places that will let you, depending on the car, you can, they have the lemon law, right, which you can always return it within a week, but they also have that you can try the car, or you can rent out that specific model and car and have it for a few days or a week, however long you want to drive around with it. It's a time that you can really test run what you want, because we can't
Mhm.
always do that with our homes, to shop and be like, I'm gonna live here for a
Let me
week or a
rent
month.
it. Yeah, that's so
Exactly.
true. I actually did
But
that
with the car.
with a car. My husband and we went to, I won't name names, but it's a very common dealership that allows you to drive the car. I want to say it's for either 7 or 9 days. I don't remember. As long as you have insurance on it. And we loved the car, but I myself was not sold on the color. And I was like, I know it sounds superficial, but like I have to look at it every day, right? So we drove it around and then I walked out and I saw it in my driveway. I was like, nah, dude, this is not for me. And we took it back, and lo and behold, they happened to get one other car that had even lower mileage, and the color was up my alley. So, you can really try things, because also these types of dealerships, they have a lot of moving pieces. Things come and go, come and go, come and go. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it is an option out there, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just about not going joyriding with the car, and making sure that you take care of it. But it was the best route for us because we ended up with the car that we really loved. So
That's
definitely a good point.
awesome. And you bring up a point with the color scheme, because a lot of people don't understand that insurances look at that too, right? If you have a red car as opposed to a black car,
The
that
cops do too.
exactly. I think about that where I'm like, how often, do you want to be stopped, or do you want people's attention, right? But there is a lot of considerations when you're looking into these type of cars, but it's not something that we can't really um, yeah, not do. So obviously for us, we can't wait to have someone here soon that will be talking about what's the best thing that you can do when you are refinancing or buying a car. So before we go, we did have another question for the next episode that we're going to be talking about from Michelle. She actually DM'd me through Instagram, and was her question is going through the IVF cycle, IVF, and which those that mean I know is in vitro fertilization. And she was talking about pricing particularly. She's like, how do we find that? How do I navigate that? And what experiences I've had. So stay tuned to the next episode. We'll be talking a little bit more about that, especially because October 15th is miscarriage awareness today. So if they had a stillborn, if it's miscarried, if it's been a wanted terminated pregnancy, all these things that are affecting really 1 out of 4 women, which is a huge number. So
Yep.
stay tuned for the next one. But I think
Stay
that was a really
tuned.
great tips on cars.
Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you, and please make sure to subscribe and leave your comments and reviews. To learn more about the podcast, check out the website and Instagram, Financially Savvy in 20 Minutes, and watch interviews on YouTube and IGTV. To become a sponsor or hire us for your next workshop or speaking engagement, please visit financiallysavvyin20minutes.com. All it takes is 20 minutes daily to become financially savvy. Music by Nikki and produced by Robert DeLude.